So how do we identify negative patterns in our family? It can be a bit like being a fish in water. We just grow up surrounded by it, so we don't even see it, let alone recognize that something is out of balance. So how do we change it and stop these negative patterns from perpetuating in our own lives? I'm going to share with you 7 ways to spot unhealthy family dynamics, plus 9 red flags to watch out for. I'm Nicola, and for over 25 years I've been exploring ways to release my issues and break my patterns of pain so I don't repeat the cycle, and I'd love to help you do the same. So it can be a real challenge to see what's not right in our family interactions because we grew up with it. We're just so used to it, it's the way it's always been. But some of these things that happen consistently in our family interactions actually do harm our emotional well-being, and they can prevent personal growth and development. They really can hold us back and keep us trapped in these unhelpful behaviours. So if we don't see them and spot them and deal with them, we just find ourselves repeating them, playing them out all over again in our own lives, repeating the cycle of dysfunction. If you're feeling game, comment below what is your dysfunctional family pattern that you recognise that you don't want to keep repeating and playing out in your own life. Mine is self-loathing or lack of self-acceptance. I can see it both over the past of my own life, but also in the past of the people in my family. There's a sense that it's never enough. I just have to keep doing more and more and more, and maybe one day I'll be enough and I'll be accepted for who I am. So the first way that you can spot these dysfunctional family patterns is your feelings and reactions after you have an interaction in your family. If you feel negative emotions like fear or anxiety, or if you feel drained or exhausted or overwhelmed, any negative experience that comes out of a family interaction is a big sign. And if something feels off, or you have a gut feeling that something's not right, that's a clue to look more closely at what just happened and ask yourself whether that was healthy or whether something's out of balance there. The second way that you can spot these patterns is through journaling. So actually writing down, getting out of your head what you notice going on in your family interactions. What types of conflicts or tension arise? What triggers them? When do they tend to happen? What feelings are expressed when they happen? And how are they responded to? How are they resolved? What tends to happen in response to when those conflicts do arrive? Track what goes on over time. Write that down. You'll start to see those issues arising in your family. And if you have trouble journaling, if you're not sure where to start, I've got a guide with over 100 journaling prompts that you can download to help you get started as you are trying to articulate what you see going on for you in your family. The third way to spot unhealthy family patterns is family secrets. What are the topics in your family that are taboo, that you just do not talk about? Everyone might be sort of aware of them, but they circle around them and never actually deal with them head on. A bit like Bruno from Encanto. We just don't talk about this stuff. That can be a really clear sign of something that's out of balance in your family. The fourth way to spot these patterns is to look at repeating patterns over time. Not just one-off things like simple mistakes that happen once, but things that happen consistently over time. Chronic habits, both in individuals' lives, the kind of relationship this person always seems to get into, or over generations, the way that this particular situation has been handled in every generation. So those repeating patterns can really highlight for you some of those unhealthy patterns in your family dynamics. The fifth way is to educate yourself about the common roles that people tend to take on in unhealthy family relationships. And there are some common ways that people respond to these unhealthy relationship patterns. Things like becoming the scapegoat, or being the bully, or becoming a doormat, or being the doer, running around making sure everyone else's needs are met, or being the one that's just completely checked out. These common roles, if you see them coming up in your family, that can be an indication that there is actually something out of balance that needs to be looked at more closely. The sixth way is to compare how your family interacts with healthy models. Go learn about what it looks like for a healthy relationship. What do interactions look like? How do people express emotions? How do they support each other? How do they resolve conflict? What does that look like in a healthy situation? Whether that's talking to friends who have a different family experience, working with a therapist, or even just reading the literature on what a healthy family looks like. Comparing that to your own family can help you really see what's out of balance in your own family. And the seventh way is to look at your own relationship patterns, to look at your own history, your own past, your own dynamics. What is it that you see playing out, whether that's at work or in friendships or in your intimate relationships? What are those patterns that you see repeating that aren't helping you, that are actually deleterious to your well-being because you keep repeating them over and over? That can be a real clue to something that you've picked up from your family dynamics, something you've learned that needs to be changed. I had an experience in my 20s of recognizing a pattern in myself of what I call my bad type. So in relationships, I was attracted to a certain type of guy who was not good for me. There were certain behaviors that he exhibited, and I ended up with the same guy effectively 3 or 4 times. And having recognized that, it was really powerful because it allowed me to identify that as a pattern, an unhelpful pattern, and then to make different choices and actually be attracted to a different kind of guy who was good for me and who was able to engage in a healthy way in a relationship. And if you need help uncovering some of these patterns for yourself, because they can be a bit hard to see sometimes, I've got a whole video that goes through my CRUD process that helps you to spot these issues based on the behaviours that you're exhibiting in your own life. So what are some of the red flags that you need to watch out for of these negative patterns playing out in your family interactions? Well, one of the first one and the biggest one is a lack of boundaries, a lack of respect, a lack of privacy, a lack of autonomy. Basically, there is not that, those boundaries just aren't there. There's no respect for other people's needs. It's just a free-for-all, if you like, and that can be really challenging. And so I've got a guide that takes you step by step through how to set, create and maintain healthy boundaries if you'd like some more help with that. The second red flag can be basically constant tension or conflict. So whether there's unspoken stuff under the surface that no one's dealing with, or it's just constant fights and back and forth, that's a big red flag that something's out of balance in the family. The third red flag is emotional neglect or abuse. So whether that is just completely ignoring or minimizing your emotions, belittling you, criticizing, judging, all of this stuff is causing emotional harm, and it's a big red flag that there's something not in balance in those family dynamics. The fourth red flag is role reversals. So this is where you are expected to take on a level of responsibility that's not appropriate given the current situation. Most of the time it's about parent-child role reversal, but it can be other dynamics, but basically where the power is not in the right place, where there is inappropriate expectations about how you behave in that relationship and what you take on from that relationship. The fifth red flag is conditional love. I will only accept you if you behave this way or if you do this thing for me. That's not love, that's conditional love. Unconditional love says, no matter what you do, whether you do what I want or not, I will still love and accept you. And so that the absence of that can be a big red flag that something's out of balance in your family. Sixth red flag is manipulation, using things like guilt or other emotions to get you to do things. So, statements like you never play with me or you always ignore me, always and never a part of this manipulation package. So watch out for those words because they are big red flags that something's not right in this interaction. The seventh red flag is poor communication. So not being straightforward and transparent about things, whether that's just not discussing things, but also outright dishonesty, denying, gaslighting, any kind of communication where it's not open and honest is a red flag that there are dynamics that are not healthy in that relationship. The eighth red flag is unequal treatment. So where there are favourites and the black sheep, if you like, where there is basically unequal treatment, someone is getting better treatment than someone else, and there's this whole sort of power dynamic going on where people are playing games about who gets what and all this unfair treatment. That's definitely a red flag that some kind of dynamic is out of balance. And the ninth red flag is control. So whether that's entanglement, like very involved in each other's lives, codependence, or simply just micromanagement, trying to control every detail of the interactions or the relationship or someone else's life. It's another big red flag. So what do you do about this when you notice these negative patterns in your family? Well, start by documenting it because you want to get it clear in your own head. This is what I can see going on, whether that's through journaling or just through writing it down. You want to capture it and externalize it so you've got a record of what you understand the situation to be. And then you can go and get external support, whether that is a therapist or a counselor or whether it's a safe friend, but someone who can help you work through this, see it from a different perspective. And then as you go back into these relationships, you can start to change what you're willing to accept through setting some healthy boundaries. So grab that guide on setting boundaries to help you with that, but starting to say, no, I'm not willing to accept that behavior from you. Now, you'll probably get pushback. That's why you need that support as you go into that. Because at the end of the day, you may not be able to change how your family behaves, but you do get to choose how you respond to that and what kinds of behaviors you're willing to accept. And that's what you can do once you start to recognize these patterns. But remember, what we're trying to do is to identify here what's normal but unhealthy, the things that you can't see because you just grew up with them. And in doing that, you're starting to take that first step towards breaking the cycle. Awareness is the first step towards changing what's going on for you at the very least. And in doing that, you start to break the cycle, you can start to heal the issues for yourself, you can start to make different choices about how you behave, how you respond, what you engage with, what you ignore, what you're willing to accept, and you start to learn healthier ways to engage with other people in your life. You create healthier relationships and you create a better future for yourself, for your family, and for everyone around you. And if you want to dive into the one key question that can help you unearth some of all this stuff that's going on for you around your family of origin, watch this video next. And I'll see you in the next one.